Cummings is finally on record, and his harbinger, Lee Kane, has already been seen, and his harbinger has already spoken a little bit about what Cummings is going to say. His harbinger has talked about being exhausted with Boris Johnson. Apparently, Cummings wrote to Lee Kane saying, "I've literally said the same thing 10 effing times and he still won't absorb it. I'm exhausted just talking to him and stopping the trolley." Stopping the trolley, it's a little bit like Netanyahu's term mowing the grass, isn't it? Stopping the trolley. He also said, "I've had to sit here for 2 hours just to stop him saying stupid shit." And Kane replied, "I'm exhausted with him." Well, Cummings has also Cummings is quite free with his language, calling quite a lot of officials terrifying shits, and I understand how he could how he could think that about quite a lot of people, but people may have thought much the same sort of thing about him. To start with, Cummings was asked about the revolting language that he's been using and that's on record, and he says, "The appalling language was obviously my own, but my judgment of a lot of senior people was widespread." Well, anybody who uses the word obviously is failing to deal with things in a clear sense. The word obviously, if something is so obvious it doesn't need to be said, and if something is not obvious, then Cummings is wrong to use the word in the first place. Generally, the word obviously is used as a form of intimidation to make other people feel little and stupid. In fact, much of Cummings' appearance and many of the words that are quoted about him shows a conceited and arrogant defence of prejudice and misogyny. Other people thought it, so I did it. That's what he's saying. That's my approach. Another form of herd immunity. If I'm in the crowd, I'm simply voicing what the crowd is thinking. He says the wrong people were in the wrong jobs. It was an overall failure, but there were pockets of excellence, he says. Well, you know exactly who he thought had the deepest pocket. Who was the deepest pocket? Who was the ultimate judge? That was Cummings himself. Cummings was the best thing, he thought, to have happened in the COVID crisis. Cummings was there for the crisis. Cummings was the only one who could possibly deal with things, and anybody who defied Cummings was wrong. Johnson, he thought, was the wrong person in the crisis. Johnson thought that COVID was no worse than swine flu. Useless effing pigs, he called people, and he also called Hancock a liar, and I suppose lexically he would suggest that he was a friend of the current Chancellor of the Exchequer. Lexically, Cummings comes out here as the organ of sense, does he not? Trying to stop the Prime Minister saying useless shit. I think Cummings, when history is written, will be one of the nastiest creatures of literature to have been penned, other than Iago or Mephistopheles, both of whom he closely resembles, does he not? It doesn't matter whether Cummings was giving the right advice or the wrong advice. He comes across as a thoroughly foul individual, and I would, you know, at the same time as being foul and objectionable, he also comes across as being extraordinarily bright and extremely gifted, if the possessor of a potty mouth.